Hit the button!
Alright everyone, welcome back to the channel. It is your boy Kegs bringing you another black project. I know it's kind of been a minute and I do apologize for that. I had some family stuff going on that needed my attention. But now we're back, and while we're at it, don't forget, like, subscribe, and hit that noti bell. Helps us out a ton. And today we are going to be covering our first chemical and biological black project. It's called Project 112, also called SHAD. So with no further ado, let's get us directly into Project 112, which was initiated in the early 1960s and was a top-secret U.S. Department of Defense testing program designed to assess the vulnerability of American forces to chemical and biological warfare. Overseeing the project was the Deseret Test Center, established in 1962 at Fort Douglas, Utah, operating as a joint service headquarters for coordinating experiments conducted across diverse environments, both domestic and international. While Project 112 included tests conducted on land, Project SHAD, Shipboard Hazard and Defense, functioned as the maritime branch of the program, focused specifically on evaluating how U.S. Navy ships and their crews could withstand both chemical or biological attacks, how effective decontamination procedures were, and whether U.S. ships and equipment could remain operational under such circumstances. The rationale for Project 112 and SHAD emerged from a strategic shift within the Department of Defense during the Kennedy administration. In 1961, then Secretary of Defense Robert McNamara called for a comprehensive re-examination of military preparedness, leading to the initiation of 150 classified projects, one of which became Project 112. At the heart of this effort was a growing concern that future warfare could include non-nuclear threats such as biological and chemical agent, against which the U.S. military had limited countermeasures. As a result, the DoD sought to simulate these conditions to better understand threats and improve defensive capabilities. The overall scope of Project 112 involved roughly 134 proposed tests, with approximately 46 to 50 being actually carried out, while the rest of these tests were either canceled, classified, or remain currently undocumented. The SHAD-specific portion of the program consisted of about 21 ship-based tests conducted between 1963 and 1969. These trials took place aboard Navy vessels in coastal waters and sometimes involved offshore locations such as the Pacific Ocean, Hawaii, Panama, and then the Marshall Islands. While most SHAD operations occurred at sea, some were also coordinated with land-based test environments for comparative purposes. In terms of methodology, a wide array of agents and stimulants were developed, including both live chemical agents such as sarin and VX nerve gas. While simulants were initially believed to be harmless, later research has questioned their safety. Some SHAD tests also used active biological organisms such as Flower Drum 1, Fearless Johnny, and Shady Grove became identifiers for these experiments. For instance, in the Shady Grove test, agents like BG and Coxiella brunelli were released to study their dispersal among naval vessels and equipment. The operational conduct of these tests involved multiple branches of the military. The Navy provided ships such as the USS George Eastman and the USS Greenville S. Hall, while Army tugs and Marine aircraft supported deployments. Tests were designed to be scientifically rigorous, though in many cases the service members aboard the vessels were not fully informed of the purpose or risks associated with the operations. Some exposures occurred under sealed conditions in the containment chambers, but others happened in open-air conditions on deck or in standard shipboard operations. The absence of informed consent among participants stands out as one of the most controversial aspects of this program. Project 112 and SHAD remained classified until the year 2000, when CBS News released an investigative report exposing the program to the public. Following the media exposure, the Department of Defense was compelled to release documents and fact sheets about individual tests, including partial disclosures. This led to increased scrutiny by Congress and the Department of Veterans Affairs. In 2002, the U.S. Senate held hearings to assess the scope of tests and their impact on service members. This resulted in the passage of Public Law 107-314, which required the DoD to provide assistance to the affected veterans and mandated additional transparency regarding past chemical and biological tests. The disclosure process revealed that an estimated 5,500 to 6,400 service members may have participated in SHAD-related activities, and many of whom remained unaware of their involvement or potential exposure until decades later. The long delay in revealing these facts created a legal and medical burden for veterans seeking care for chronic conditions they believed were linked to their exposure. To evaluate these claims, the Department of Veterans Affairs commissioned the Institute of Medicine, IOM, to conduct a health study. The IOM concluded in its initial reports that there was insufficient evidence to directly connect participation with specific long-term health effects. However, critics pointed out that the study lacked access to complete exposure records, limiting its reliability and excluding many affected veterans from potential benefits. Ethically, Project SHAD and its parent program, Project 112, have been widely criticized. Failure to obtain informed consent from participants violated basic principles of human research ethics and international standards set forth in the Nuremberg Code and the Declaration of Helsinki. Service members were often exposed to potentially harmful substances without any follow-up documentation or notification. In many cases, they were not even told what the tests involved, making it difficult for them to link later health problems to their time in service. Legal recourse for affected veterans has been limited by the classified nature of the program, the destruction or loss of documentation, and the lack of consistent recognition from the VA. A number of notable SHAD operations illustrate the range and severity of the testing. Fearless Johnny, for example, involved the dispersal of VX nerve agent on a ship to test decontamination measures, while Flower Drum used sarin simulants to assess ventilation and filtration systems on Navy vessels. Codenamed Shady Grove test stands out for employing multiple biological simulants and pathogens to model airborne dispersal under real-world conditions. Each test involved coordination between naval personnel, Army support vessels, and often aircraft that released the agents from above or collected atmospheric data. Project 112 was conceived in 1961 and formally activated in 1962 with the creation of the Deseret Test Center. SHAD testing began in earnest in 1963 and continued until about 1969. By 1973, the Deseret Test Center was shut down and most documentation related to Project 112 remained classified. The full extent of the program only began to surface in the year 2000 when first disclosures prompted public scrutiny. Over the next several years, congressional oversight, declassification efforts, and limited veteran outreach programs attempted to address these consequences of the program, but many veterans still report a lack of accountability, incomplete medical research and support, and inconsistent information from federal agencies. 112 and Project SHAD represent a deeply complex and morally fraught chapter in the U.S. military history. Conducted under the guise of national security and Cold War deterrence, these programs expose thousands of American service members to potentially dangerous substances without their knowledge or consent. The resulting controversy underscores the need for transparency in military research and greater protections for those who serve. The program legacy continues to influence policy regarding classified experimentation, veteran health care, and ethical standards in government-led research. Oh, that one was a bit of a doozy, wasn't it, ladies and gents? So, with that being said, it's your boy Kegs, and this has been another episode of Black Projects. Don't forget to check in Zan's Weapon Depot. He has been pumping out the stuff. It's been really interesting stuff. I love it. I have, again, been busy, and I do greatly appreciate everyone hanging around, and I apologize for how long it's been. If you really enjoy the Black Projects, give us a comment below to give me an idea. What do you want me to cover next? I do have another one sitting in the bank right now. I've been doing a lot of work to try and catch up right now. So hopefully that one will be out here before too much longer after this episode drops. And we will see you guys down the road. Once again, it helps us out a bunch. Don't forget, like, subscribe, hit that noti bell. We love you all. And I will see you guys next episode.